Welcome to this explainer. If you're a city planner, local official, or community leader, you already know the deal. Our work isn't just about drawing up physical blueprints, right? It's about creating spaces where people actually feel like they belong. So today we're diving into a really powerful strategy, digital placemaking. Now, hold on, I know the word digital can instantly sound like a massive budget-draining IT project, but honestly, as we'll see, it's actually one of the most accessible, profound community-building tools we have at our disposal.
Okay, let's dive into this. Picture a regular, everyday park in your town. Just a patch of grass you've walked by 1,000 times. But imagine a resident holding up their smartphone and seeing the shimmering, glowing ghost of a 19th century fountain right there on the lawn. They tap the screen, and suddenly they're listening to an elderly neighbor telling a story about that exact spot passed down from her grandfather. All of a sudden, that park isn't just a physical location anymore. It's a layered space. It's rich with memory. This is the immediate emotional magic of digital placemaking.
So here is our practical playbook for today. We're going to cover the invisible layers of the city, fostering shared community ownership, mapping assets with digital tools, capturing local oral histories, some real-world placemaking successes, and we'll wrap up with the future of connected cities.
Starting with Section 1, the invisible layers of city, understanding the why.
It really all boils down to this concept called topophilia. Literally translated, it means love of place. It's that deep, profound emotional bond that takes a generic cookie-cutter housing development and turns it into a fiercely beloved neighborhood. And let's be real, zoning codes alone cannot magically create that feeling. But digital storytelling, it absolutely can. Think about a standard river walk. Now imagine folks walking down it and their phone's GPS triggers an audio clip about the native fish that used to thrive right there, or the bustling industries that once lined those exact banks. You're connecting the physical space to its unseen past, and by doing that, you are literally engineering topophilia.
Moving to Section 2, fostering shared community ownership, empowering citizens.
I really want you to stop and ask yourself a pretty provocative question. Who gets to tell the story of a place? Because historically, well, let's be honest, the narrative of a city was pretty much monopolized by a select few. We're talking government officials, wealthy patrons, or designated historians. And what that did was create a single official narrative that, more often than not, completely overlooked the diverse, everyday experiences of the actual people living there. And this brilliantly illustrates the paradigm shift we're seeing. We are finally moving away from those sterile top-down master plans of the past and moving toward democratized, citizen-led narratives. Technology gives everyone a voice. A neighborhood facing redevelopment can literally pull out their phones and collaboratively plot their cherished local businesses and traditions right onto a digital map. Plus, these tools break down major physical barriers. Think about an app providing rich audio descriptions of local architecture for visually impaired residents, or VR offering an immersive tour of a rugged trail for folks with mobility challenges. We're making shared heritage truly accessible to everyone.
Section 3. Mapping assets with digital tools, the Planner's Toolkit.
Okay, here is a quick survey of the 4 main categories in your new toolkit. And as you'll see, the skill levels range widely. You've got simple, beginner-friendly multimedia tools like Canva for design, or Audacity and DaVinci Resolve for tweaking audio and video. For aggregation, platforms like WordPress are incredibly flexible. Then, over on the more advanced end, you have immersive tools like Unity and Unreal Engine if you want to get into full 3D virtual reality. But notice how many beginner options there are? You absolutely do not need to be a software developer to pull this off.
So the crucial point is really just finding those beginner-friendly entry points. For instance, a local neighborhood association can easily spin up a community asset map using a free, basic tool like Google My Maps. Literally, you just open the app, drop a pin on a community garden or historic home, and then invite others to add their own pins. Someone might drop a pin and say, hey, this is the bench where my parents met. It requires absolutely zero coding, but bam, it instantly creates this incredible shared sense of ownership over the neighborhood's geography.
Section 4, capturing local oral histories, weaving the narrative. The park is not just a triumph of landscape architecture, but a place built on layers of human history and labor. This quote perfectly captures the High Line in New York City. Because to enrich the visitor experience there, they didn't just plant some nice flowers and call it a day. They actually went out and collected oral histories from the old railroad workers, factory employees, and longtime locals, and made all of it accessible right through an app. It gave this incredible emotional weight and human context to what, let's face it, is essentially just a piece of physical infrastructure.
So how do you actually capture these stories in your own town? Well, here are 3 incredibly effective, accessible ways. First up, Omega. It is fantastic for local libraries that want to curate digital exhibits, say something like Our Town During World War II, because it lets residents upload their own family letters and photos. Then there's WordPress. Combine that with some mapping plugins, and you can easily document hidden public spaces. And please never underestimate social media. You can use Instagram hashtags to crowdsource community photos, or have your historical society create quick, engaging 1-minute TikTok microhistories about local landmarks.
Moving to Section 5, Real-World Placemaking Successes Proof of Concept. Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer simplicity of that green, ear-shaped street sign. This is from a pioneering project called Murmur, which actually started up in Toronto. What they did was curate personal stories about specific street corners directly from the people who lived those moments. They put up these ear-shaped signs with a phone number and a code. Passers-by would literally just pull out their cell phones, call the number, and hear a deeply personal story about the exact spot they were standing on. It was totally low-tech, super accessible, and it created this magical, intimate connection to a random city street.
And building on that idea, we're seeing digital placemaking drive all sorts of value. Beyond cultural heritage projects like Murmur, look at environmental storytelling. The Hidden Rivers of London project used GIS maps to unearth buried, forgotten waterways. That raises vital awareness about urban hydrology and even sparks ideas for new green spaces. And of course, don't forget the economic drivers. Just imagine an augmented reality public art gallery that transforms a struggling downtown block into a vibrant, must-see destination, actively driving foot traffic right into your local shops and cafes. It's a real game changer.
And our final section, Section 6, The Future of Connected Cities Looking Ahead.
Let's move to and see how this builds over time. I mean, we started with static, physical historical plaques back in the 90s, right? Today, we're leveraging mobile AR and smart apps. But looking ahead toward the 2030s, we are entering the wild era of sentient spaces and digital twins. Imagine using generative AI to instantly model new park designs based on real-time community forum feedback, or an Internet of Things park bench that literally senses when someone sits down and whispers a local poem through a directional speaker. We are even seeing urban planners create VR digital twins of public squares, letting citizens walk through and test a space out in the metaverse before a single physical brick is ever laid.
I want to leave you with this image of an empty, well-lit city bench, just waiting for someone to sit down and share. As city planners, local officials, and community builders, I challenge you to view yourselves as more than just administrators of zoning and infrastructure. You are digital cartographers of emotion. You literally have the power to map not just streets, but memories and meanings. So start small. Pick one story, maybe a beloved local shop that closed, or the history of an old tree right in the town square. Use a simple tool like Google My Maps or Hoverlay to bring it to life. Ask yourselves deeply, whose voices are currently missing from your city's map? And more importantly, whose story will your community tell next?